mango juice. But today, you leave the mangoes rotting on the mango tree, because if you wash it and turn it into mango juice, and I give it a badger with saying, ah boy, you have nothing to give me but this mango that you pluck from your mango tree. He wants one made in Holland. They also condition our psychology. And that is why, despite numerous health facilities, hospitals, doctors, life expectancy is very low. Because if an engine is made for Europe, before it is sent to Africa, it has to be tropicalized. Not so? Why? Because coming to a different, it will still be a petrol engine vehicle, but it's meant for Europe, a cold climate. So now, if we as Africans in the tropics, very hot and humid, want to live like Europeans in Europe, which is very cold, then we have a problem. Now you understand why children are born with strange diseases, despite the fact that Gambia is not an industrialized country. Asthmatic patients are on the increase. Obesity is more rampant now than maybe 10, 20 years ago. Okay? What caused it? Either the way we live or what we eat. Now, how is it possible that 25 years ago, Gambian women have to take periactin to gain weight, because people used to say, ah, kobonga or liali. Today, they have to take something to lose weight, or drink maybe tons of lime juice. Why? We live in the same Gambia. No industries have increased. There is no industrial pollution in this country. So what is the cause of obesity? But what should worry you is, what is causing so many critical lung diseases in babies? Serious deformities that you can find only either a place that was bombarded heavily during the war, or a place which has maybe nuclear power stations, or there is radioactive material. No, it's what we eat. Now, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but how many of you can cook Gambian food? If I invite you to a party and I give you benachin, what are you going to say? I'll not go to State House again. Tell them a benachin lañnajo. But if I serve you chicken that have been frozen for the past 10 years and the bones are almost powdery, oh, you are from State House, we hate chicken. What is wrong with our local chicken? That's the
President Jammeh there, soon after arriving in the Gambia. The full-length interview will air immediately after the 10 p.m. news bulletin. Meanwhile, one Madani F.K. Balde of Latrikunda Sabiji has sent a felicitatory message to the head of state, and it reads, "My family and friends join me in congratulating Your Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, on your victory in the November 24 presidential election. Please accept our sympathy on the demise of your mother-in-law and mother of Her Excellency the First Lady, Madam Rimu El-Hassari Suma," it concludes. From there we take our first break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The bloody crackdown on protesters by Syrian forces is continuing despite efforts by the Arab League to end the bloodletting. Arab countries now want Western powers to play a more proactive role in the drive to stop the crisis that started in March last year. The US says the Assad government is on the verge of crumbling. We have details in this report.
Opposition called for a day of mourning and anger after almost 100 people, mostly civilians, reportedly died Monday in spiraling violence, as shown by these amateur videos posted on the internet. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said most of the people were killed during a regime assault on the city of Homs. The unrest also saw 25 soldiers killed. Fighting is also occurring in the suburbs of the capital, Damascus, as the country slides towards civil war. Western powers are getting mobilized.
The Arab League has made a plan that calls for a political transition and the removal of Bashar al-Assad, who has lost all his legitimacy. I'm going to New York with all our allies in the Arab countries to press for this violence to be stopped.
The Arab League ended its observation mission to Syria last week, but introduced a resolution under which Syrian President Bashar al-Assad would accept a ceasefire and hand over power to his deputy ahead of the formation of a unity government. That plan was rejected by Damascus, but is due to be discussed Tuesday at a UN Security Council meeting in New York. The Syrian opposition leader said negotiations can only occur if al-Assad steps down.
Any UN resolution that does not end the rule of the president who has persistently ignored the will of his people and abused his power will not be pragmatic and will not lead to peaceful political negotiations.
Veto-wielding Russia has already objected to the resolution, saying pushing it through would be a path towards civil war. But the United States expects the 15-nation Security Council's position to change because Assad's regime is going to collapse.
And it's important to look at where this process is headed. Assad's fall is inevitable. And so as governments make decisions about where they stand on this issue and what further steps need to be taken with regards to the brutality of the Assad regime, it's important to calculate into your considerations the fact that he will go.
Syria's opposition continues to defy the regime, while in a statement posted on Facebook, it said it deplored the global community's lack of swift action to protect civilians by all means necessary.
The Lagos High Court has sentenced the former chief security aide to the then Nigerian leader, General Sani Abacha, to death by hanging. The ex-army major was tried for killing of Kudiatu Abiola, the wife of Chief Masud Abiola, the supposed winner of the 1993 presidential election that was annulled by the military. We have more in this CFI report.
Security was tight outside the Lagos High Court on Monday, and for a good reason. Inside, the judges were announcing their verdict on a high-profile political murder case that happened 16 years ago. The defendant, whom you see here in a white outfit as he leaves the courtroom, was none other than Army Major Hamza al-Mustafa, chief security aide to former Nigerian dictator Sani Abacha. Abacha ruled Nigeria between 1993 and 98. Al-Mustafa and another defendant were sentenced to death by hanging.
Before the close of work tomorrow, we would have filed notices of appeal on behalf of the defendants. And also file a notice, a motion for stay of execution. It is not ordinarily necessary. But because my Lord says a peculiar judgment, a peculiar case, we don't want a peculiar execution.
This is the woman that Hamza al-Mustafa was found guilty of murdering, Kudiratu Abiola, wife of late presidential candidate Masud Abiola. Kudiratu Abiola was shot dead on June 4, 1996 in broad daylight in Lagos. At the time, she was actively fighting to obtain the release of her husband, the presumed winner of the 1993 elections, who never served as president because the elections were cancelled by the military regime. Masud Abiola, a southern Muslim who was very popular across the country, was jailed after he challenged the military's decision to cancel the vote. A political crisis followed and paved the way for Sani Abacha's rise to power. Abiola died in jail in August 1998 in circumstances yet to be clarified.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. The Gambia has opened a new sprawling Chancery building in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. President Jammeh has lamented Africa's unsatisfactory performance in global trade despite its huge share of the raw materials market. The Lagos High Court has sentenced General Sani Abacha's former chief security aide to death by hanging. And a veto-wielding Russia has disagreed with Arab and Western states, urging the Syrian president to stand down, saying it is a recipe for all-out war. You can also follow those stories and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. That brings us to this edition of the news. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our program. Meanwhile, President Jammeh's interview is next.